Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Welcome to the July meeting of the East Lampeter Sewer Authority, and members present are Brent Stallsous, Todd Stump, myself, Rick Robinson, and Vinny Patel, Township officials, Ronald Hutchison, Charlie Thomas, Tara Hitchens, and from HRG, Mr. Matt Cici. I invite you to join us in the Pledge of the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no one, right?
We have no one.
So we don't have to worry if people can hear us, right? Okay. Okay. We've only had the minutes for a few days. Hope had a chance to look them over, and if there's no additions or corrections, we're going to stand approved as written. Treasurer's report. Sanitary sewer.
For the sanitary sewer, we have checks that need paid in the amount of $2,672.40. And as the end of June, we have a checking account balance of $14,438.86.
Requisitions.
There's one requisition this afternoon, number 03-620. This is payable to Fulton Bank, care of City of Lancaster. It is for the escrow agreement for the dewatering building locker room improvements. The design phase of that in the amount of $7,465.
Looking for a motion to pay the bills and requisitions for the sanitary sewer.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Treasury report for the stormwater.
Rick, we have checks that need paid in the amount of $71,207.08. The majority of that being paid to Green Team Industries for $63,764.25. And we have a checking account balance of $250,229.47.
Down quite a bit from the last meeting.
Some savings, I imagine, did we?
That's correct.
Okay, motion to pay the bills for the stormwater. So moved. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Moved. Okay, old business under sanitary sewer, Stalper Run upgrade.
The beginning of this month, the contractor advised that the MCC manufacturer has pushed back the ship date. Was supposed to be the beginning of July. Now they're forecasting July So, basically no work's been done. I'm waiting for that equipment to arrive. It's stuff that's just happened industry wide, and the partners meeting yesterday, it's impacting a number of other partners projects as well, like similar.
Getting to be an excuse for everybody, isn't it?
I think there's only 3 or so major electrical manufacturers that supply this equipment nowadays.
Okay. Possible system extension on Strasburg Pike.
Expecting folks to come at 5 o'clock to hear a presentation. Mainly, I guess it's going to be Matt, going over what the preliminary design looks like. Happy to assist the authority in any way you want. If you want me to open the meeting or obviously help field questions when we get to that point in time. We sent the letter out. I think all we saw a letter. And so that's the information that all the property owners have at this point. We have learned that there's been at least one other on-lot system failure out there. We got a one call that they're planning to dig to put in a new system. So I imagine they had to make a decision once they got our letter. Do we move forward with this or do we wait? Or most of those circumstances, I imagine they got to have a system, so they're going to come in the new on-lot system. Think about that tonight as well.
Again, how many people is this? You get many calls about it?
I didn't receive any.
Kind of surprising, I would think, at least usually a couple people that aren't happy with the.
Yeah, or somebody that, hey, I'm going to be on vacation. Can you tell me anything since I can't make the meeting? Something, but
The one that did reach out since the letter that's maybe going to got the one kind of close to the ones we.
I'm not sure if it's sure, because I think he put temporary tanks in there to get pumped out. I'm not sure if he's going to get new tanks or if it's the neighbor. It's somewhere right in that area.
Could be maybe one of the 8 that are possible for the.
I think it's in the same area.
Yeah, it's in-
Here, give it the address. But it's down in the area there where the contractor showed up, where this all started.
But not the property.
You can't say for sure.
no, I don't use that property. I think it's a different property, but on the east side of Strasburg.
Okay. And was there next to the house that the excavator community had the problem? Did I pick up last meeting? I know there's a house there they're doing a good bit of construction on now, building wise. Did they put in a new system recently? Did I pick up at one of the meetings or?
I think that's the one where we got the one call.
Okay.
The one that a new system went in was right around the corner of Mill Street.
Okay.
That was just put in the last few months.
What are number of copies? They got 5 copies of the large plan. It shows the gravity sewer extension. So they have about Strasburg Pike and then lower threshold is spent beyond that for this right here. I have a number of 11 by 17s as well, just for a concept. So I mean, we can place plans throughout if we need to. We can share information back on the screen again for discussion purposes. I mean, the same information, or I even have a number, like 11 by 17 versions of the same drawing. But I think from a discussion standpoint, it would just be, as your letter said, if it's within 150 feet, generally required to connect for the township ordinance. I think the desire is to get gravity as far as we can within a reasonable cost. From a project standpoint, if that's not feasible, then a low pressure extension would require all that beyond that. I think it's just more sharing information, see what folks here, what questions they may have. But I mean, I think a question that can be expected is, are you just considering this, or is this something that, is going to happen?
The question was mentioned either maybe last month. I'm not sure if it was answered. We're at the 150 feet, exactly what right away, street end, what?
Yeah, our conclusion on that question is that typically, when the authority would do a project, do the main and then run laterals to the right of way on both sides. So that's where we interpret the system as beginning. So basically it'll be the distance from the right of way to the structure. If it's within 150 feet, based upon that measurement, then they're required to hook up. And that's really the only fair way to do it, in my view. If it makes sense to run, on the west side of Strasburg Pike, then, it's closer than, we run it to the right of way, and then from the right of way, that's really.
Is that vary a little bit how far it comes in from like a street end of Strasburg Pike or the right of way to a property? Just might be a question that you're going to get, we might get.
I mean, the houses are set back all different.
Right.
Not really like a straight line of houses.
I mean, more the right of way itself. Is that?
I think the right of way is generally probably pretty consistent.
Yeah, all the center line.
It's not set in stone, but generally, telephone poles are usually placed close to the right of way. We don't have that. We don't have line shown currently on this plan set. So, I have a scale I can do, but if somebody's close to the 150 mark, I can't say for certain if they're within that distance or not today.
Yeah.
If down closer to the bridge, it depends on roads, so down closer to the bridge, the right of way is going to get wider. So it might be a 60-foot right of way down there. Right from the bridge. So, right. But everybody down by the bridge is hooked up. So,
Yeah, there's definitely a couple houses. Any way you measure it, I mean, they're more than 150. They sit back like 250, 270. So if they want to connect, they can certainly drop a one. They'd have to run a longer distance into the system.
I'm thinking one of them. Sell to the right way to those properties where you have to reject gold. Because what if their system fails 15 years from now? Then they might have to be a crack to get it here, but at least they've got the stub already. Strasburg Pike.
Yeah, I think sitting here, if folks have service in their basement, again, some projects, we'll say, hey, we're going to basically guarantee first floor service. But that house has a basement service. If they can connect by gravity, great. If not, they might need a flush toilet or something like that. Or, do we have to design the ground system to pick it up? I don't answer that today. I don't know if we'll get into that specifics, but if somebody shares that they do have basement service, it's good to know. Should this project move forward?
Yeah, like you said, the first question is, are we just thinking about doing the project, or is this a go? I mean, we got family systems down there.
I think we're still weighing all options. seeing what, I mean, to me, that came up with the option to have, you know, the 8 alone on a gravity system, correct? It goes under the stream.
Correct, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, and that, I mean, like I told you last month, that, what I showed you, those 8, that's just low pressure. So what was on the low pressure we can do? I mean, you know, in theory, you could say, well, there's only 2 houses that are failing. I mean, and you run a low pressure line that just picks up those couple houses, it might pick up 3 or 4 on that route, but you don't necessarily have to do the other leg that goes beyond that if you don't need to. But the more individuals you connect, the greater project costs get spread amongst for that area.
I think that's what we discussed too, after that comment was made last month to the whole project, because what if we get a system that fails 2 years from now? Or after that, low pressure system's in, then you get the contractor back in to redo the thing. There's options.
Okay. Any other old business under sanitary sewer? Old business under stormwater, Pack Stream Bank construction project.
I would like to share the pictures of the project thus far. So this is one portion of the project.
This area used to be all woods, trees.
You can see they've laid back the stream bank. Matting has gone down. Continuing to work. This here is the maintenance building. If you're familiar with the Hack property, this is the maintenance building off of Millennial Drive. So this will continue down past that maintenance building.
Was down, basically.
Just about, yes. So that's where that $63,754 has gone so far.
The stream have water in it all the time.
As far as I know.
Do any of the photos show where the sanitary is in relation to?
It is basically right in the green area. On the opposite side, where your arrow is at. I don't know if you can really see it.
Here.
And there's a construction easement over top of it, but the final product is just outside the easement. There's still some equipment in the easement that I have brought to Hack's attention that it's going to need moved. There's nothing to be placed or planted in there. There you go. And I think there's a manhole behind that. Well, downstream, I think there's a man.
So what eventually goes where that the material is that grass or?
It'll be plantings. And now when we get really close to the sewer easement, it will be grass. But otherwise it'll be shrubs and trees down through.
That planting's not supposed to take place till probably mid-September, end of September.
But it kind of serves as both an important pollution reduction project for stormwater purposes, but also protect sanitary sewer that goes down through there, being erected and undermined. So,
And looking down through there before they started taking the trees there, about 3 to 4 down through there, it's just starting to eat away. So now they're laying everything back. So when the water does come up, then it goes down slowly. It's not just a rushing into balls.
It'll ride on the big rain on Sunday.
today,
Taken earlier today.
Any other old business under storm? Good. New business under sanitary sewer. City flow monitoring.
So, CDM reported at the meeting yesterday, early meeting, that there's 2 temporary flow meters remaining, one below, the Bridgeport flow meter, the other below Susan Ave. They've indicated that they're in the process, so they're going to be starting to remove those and take those out. The Susan Ave meter, they've asked for some of the township flow data from OCC, who maintains that data. So I know that request has been submitted. So all of OCC to make sure they process it. The Bridgeport meter, I believe they were going out with Larry today. They just wanted to confirm where a flow measurement was being taken, but we had provided information to them from Dave Moore, who's the meter guy that maintains that information, that they found that to be acceptable. They just want to do a verification. So hopefully this addresses all their issues and concerns. They did say that they should be finalizing their sewer capacity memo and issue that within the next 3 weeks. We'll see that. Or they want to continue with the finance pumping and CCTV investigation of the interceptors, and starting to put that documentation together for that work to begin. We did ask time of year, is beneficial for when that investigation work occurs, and I think it's something that they're going to evaluate further and make a determination.
Okay, capital projects.
There's to the CFA COVID-19 H2O PA Aero money, ARPA money application that you submitted, received word today that CFA is not going to have any of those on their meeting agenda for their July meeting, which is next week. So the earliest they could make a decision on any awards is now going to be September. So got confirmation from that from Adrian of our office today. I guess she reached out to some. Now, previously we were holding off on any sort of work on any of the capital improvement plan projects until at least July, until we heard that. So I think it's just a decision. Is there anything that you feel time is of the essence that you would like to move forward with, any preliminary work, survey work, anything like that, or continue to wait until CFA makes a decision on any of these awards? So if you were to start anything, like say you would authorize a survey base mapping development of a certain project, what's authorized at this time, and basically prior to CFA awarding money, if you should give it. Do that.
It's that pressing. Yeah. Or something. Does anyone else know of anything?
I mean, I think, the biggest projects out there were the over pump station, eliminating work, and even related to the Oak drainage basins. I mean, with the recent heavy rains, has there been any flooding of the Oaks or any overflows here? I didn't hear that.
We had two. Your guys.
Okay. Partners meeting.
The quarterly part yesterday, we were given a bunch of from them. They were given to us at the meeting. Projects or seeding. Some projects are in construction and continue to be in construction, such as wastewater treatment plant, DO control, BNR system improvement upgrades. EDM work with the city on completion and projects that relate to the generator improvements, chlorine scrubber upgrades. Health projects had some significant cost increases they reported, primarily due to primary clarifier upgrades. They had done some conceptual cost planning here, probably a year or two ago, and with us in the same equipment manufacturers, and it's almost 100% increase based upon the cost of the equipment going up. So one of the, I think the reported at the end of the meeting, we have the escrow agreement process, where the process is all partners that are participating in the project, really before that project goes out for bids for construction. And then all the partners deposit money into an account that's in the pool to pay for that. The city has indicated that their budgeting forecast with their bond issues, with increases in project costs, they're not going to have sufficient funds for their projects. So they're looking to go to Invest to help fund some of these projects through, in the past, has been through loan financing dollars that Penrose offers. And in the past, going from a bank loan versus a Penvest loan, the rates have been comparable. Here recently, increased and the cost of borrowing money from banks or bond issues. City reported that Penvest is still offering loan money around 1.25%, 1.5%, where they're seeing for bond issuance costs now like 4.5%. They said it's a pretty substantial difference. So they're exploring the Penvest Avenue for their portion of project costs. Where it becomes, how this factors in is Penvest won't fund the project 100% or give the city 100% money up before the project starts. So basically, Penvest pays based upon the cost spent, and they'll reimburse that. So they'll base it off the application for payment. So I think that's something for the attorneys to work through, how that happens, and from an escrow standpoint, any agreement process. But they brought it up yesterday, and we just wanted to let you know.
So I don't know if they're still gonna want everybody else to put all their money in up front.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean,
Mix it out like they're gonna do. You're gonna have to figure it out.
well, they'd have to come up with the money anyhow, originally, wouldn't they?
Well,
They're gonna get reimbursed with it with low interest money. I mean, somehow they gotta,
the first payment anyway, they've got to come up with that much to pay and then get reimbursed. And then the reimbursement money would help them pay the next one and so forth.
Yeah, I know it has. And they just put in there for the contractor, and it's in the documents. The contractors know that instead of getting paid within 30 days, it may take 60 or 75 or 3 days. The contractor acting as a bank almost impact costs for them. So I think at least that having in there to start, so you're not having a delayed time period, even if they have to use some certification. Something that they need to figure out and have that pockets for pool to start with.
And obviously we'll be wanting to watch to see if, that raises the overall cost of the project that everybody's sharing. And that maybe any increases. There's something to measure that. You know, it's gonna be tough, but we working through that.
I assume they have separate funds for any sort of funding application and process, and that's needed for that, because there's for sure additional costs in administering that to their partners.
They also brought up that big major project around 2026.
Correct. So I know we talked about previously, but the cities, a lot of the work at the treatment plant has focused on the liquid side of the treatment system. So in the treatment plant, there's a liquid side and then there's the solid side. So they've been focusing a lot on the liquid side of the system. They're now switching, trying to address the solid side, and they're going through developing the concept and study right now towards all different components of the solids and fluids that are required on the system. So if you think of the solids that go through a sewer system, that are needed, some of that is broken down and consumed as part of the treatment process. But there's other inert materials that need to be removed and disposed of. So that's what they're doing here as part of the solids improvement. Currently, their solids treatment is a lime stabilization. So they add lime into the solid materials, increases pH from a treatment aspect, and then they truck that all that way. I know in the past they were doing some sort of land application for mine reclamation. But if that's not working, they also just then haul it to a landfill. So now they're looking at part of these additional treatment systems for anaerobic digestion, which helps to consume more of those solids and reduce the overall volume that needs to be disposed of. Also has a benefit of byproduct of gas that's given off. Methane gas can be used for power generation or other processes at the plant. But then other treatment elements that are needed, pieces of equipment that are needed to support that. So some of what they're looking at, what they described yesterday, was an end product that the solids will get digested, it comes out of that. They get thickened up through various pieces of equipment and ultimately would end up running through a sludge dryer. So try to as much of a liquid as possible that needs to get disposed of. So they're not paying, everyone's not paying to dispose of water. It's basically just a solid product. And depending on who you talk to, can become a commodity at times, where it's like, oh, here's very, nutrient rich product that instead of costing you anything to give away, you either give it away at no cost or maybe you can get some. Don't know how feasible that is, but basically these are big, high dollar ticket costs, that's going to require multi-million dollars of investment. And that's something they're targeted for, getting started with design efforts coming up, I think construction like 2026 time period. So they're going to start working conceptual cost estimates here term. And hopefully later this year have at least some concept estimates up.
Yep, I guess we'll wait and see because we know how the city operates. So this is getting ourselves concerned about that 3 years in advance. Additional funding, ARPA dollars.
I just wanted this to be on the agenda. The county had, the ARPA dollars that they got allocated, and they distributed a bunch of that for various community projects. And now they've decided to do a second round of that, where they've got roughly $6 million that they're looking for people to make applications, and they're going to allocate it. I think the Oaks pumping stations elimination project would be something that would kind of fit what they're looking for. That's for applications. So since we're not going to know anything about whether our CFA grant is going forward, I didn't know if you wanted to consider having us submit an application for dollars for that same project, some other project that we've sort of got the information already from having prepared the application for CFA. So I don't think it would take a whole lot of work to submit something to the county.
Would the Strasburg Pike, I mean, I don't know if that would fit their criteria for what the county's looking for or not. Because that wasn't part of what was submitted for CFA, but
Right. That's the downside of going for the Oaks project. If then the CFA comes through, then you decline one of them. Matt's right. The Strasburg Pike project wasn't included in that. Maybe that's one to consider as a possibility.
Because we're trying to, it's just Matt's time we're paying for to do it. I mean, that's not.
I guess if we would be awarded the ARPA dollars, would that cut the cost for the residents down there?
Is there a deadline that it needs submitted by that you've heard of, Hutch?
The county, the end of August, I think, is their deadline, but they're taking them on a rolling basis and making decisions on a rolling basis. So I think the sooner you get it in, the better. But the end of August is their cutoff for the applications.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth the effort. Like you said, a lot of this stuff's already been done, other than new paperwork or.
Right. Strasburg might be your higher priority there.
yeah.
So,
It still goes through CFA money. And for the CFA money on top of that to go to the Oaks pumping stations.
Good timing, Hutch.
I didn't do it. I'm just reporting. Okay. Well, I'll make sure Matt has the application form. It's not really extensive application, so I think it'll require too much, but we'll get it put together.
Sounds good. Any other new business under sanitary sewer? New business under stormwater.
Yes,
Yes.
so one of the checks you paid today was for LCCD, and that's to review the Oscar's Pet Resort project, and so that can move forward with rules and permits. So that's moving right along. The other item that I want to go over is the PRP. We are still waiting for the Department of Environmental Protection to provide us comments or approval of the revised PRP. So I hope to have that soon. That's all I have.
Guess there's nothing else there, so. You have any other business we have to take care of before this 5 o'clock meeting? Motion to adjourn? So moved, or do we have to adjourn?
Yeah, you should adjourn.
This meeting, yeah, okay, so moved here, we got a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.